welcome you back to the Barber Biz Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Brown. And as usual, our episode is going to be sponsored by Sheer Overcomb Consulting. You see the name, you see the brand. You know, that's just what we do. We want to do our best to push our culture forward. And today, we have a very special guest, and really the main reason I'm even doing what I'm doing. We have as our guest today none other than Rachel Leslie from RL Hair Lounge. Rachel Leslie Hair Lounge. Rachel, what's going on? She is now. Let me just actually, before I even let her even speak.
Oh boy.
So, Rachel Leslie Hair Lounge. Her last name is Leslie, but her maiden name is Brown. So you can make the connection. She's actually my older sister. So, again, as I mentioned before, she's one of the, if not the main reason that I even got into barbering. She really is the main reason I even got into barbering, period. So I'm going to give her a nice warm welcome. Rachel, what's up? What's good? I get to just be regular on this interview. What's up? You good?
What's up?
How are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
Everything's going well. I didn't give her any background to this interview. I just said, I'm not telling you what questions I'm asking. We're just going to start with, why am I your favorite brother? No. So tell us about your journey. Tell us about when you got into cosmetology.
Oh boy. I got into cosmetology straight out of high school. I always wanted to do hair basically from when I was a little girl. So that was always my goal. That was always my dream, was to be a hairstylist basically. So right after I graduated high school, I just went straight into hair school, and it just goes from there.
So what were was it challenging kind of starting to gain clientele when you first started, or did it come easy to you, or what?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's challenging for anybody. But I want to say it came easy, but I think it's just one of the things you expected was hard. It was going to be hard work, was to building a clientele. So it was something that I was expecting to not be necessarily easy or expect people to flock to me, especially in the salon that I worked at, where there were a lot of seasoned stylists, and I was the new youngest girl there. So coming in, I came in with the expectation of, it's just going to take time to build a clientele. And it did. It takes years to build a good clientele, but it was worth it. Yeah, it was worth it.
Were there some specific things that these other seasoned stylists taught you along the way? Were there some specific things that you learned that you kind of kept with you over the years?
Definitely. I learned a lot of good techniques. I learned how to deal with people, how not to deal with people, just from interacting with the other stylists and how sometimes they treated me. Made me realize that you should treat people better, just to be a better person and treat people with respect, that kind of thing. And just to be professional, how people are not professional, how not to act, how you should act. So just being around a lot of different personalities and things like that. And the shop that I worked at actually was half barbershop, half beauty salon. That was the first place that I worked at. So being around the barbers and dealing with the men is one thing. And then being on the salon side, and it basically was separated, but it was still, everybody interacted together. So it was interesting. It definitely was a learning process. And I'm glad that I actually worked there, because I was able to see both sides of the business with the barbers and how they operated, and with the stylists. So it was cool. It was good.
What does being a professional mean to you then? Because we hear that word thrown around a lot when it comes to being professional or professionalism. Why is that something that you highlight, or something that really stands out to you?
Yeah, that's actually very important to me. I know people, like you said, throw that word around. And it's more than just dressing nice to the salon. It's about, again, how you treat people with respect, which means that you're on time as a stylist. Your clients aren't waiting for you to come strolling in the morning. You don't overbook yourself. The clients aren't waiting for you because you have so many people and they have to sit and wait because you've overbooked and and it's like you don't respect their time. And for me, that's a huge thing is respecting people's time because I want my time respected. And I just think that being professional is more than just, like I said, having your hair done and looking a certain kind of way. It's how you treat people. And that is respecting their time, respecting people's space, not having just so many people in the salon because you want to feel comfortable. You want to feel like almost like it's your home away from home. And nobody wants to deal with a bunch of kids running around and yelling and making noise. Nobody wants to deal with people on their speakerphones, having their personal conversations or whatever, or playing the music and watching movies out out loud. Those things to me is about being professional and having a professional environment in your salon as well.
So in a sense, that also comes with making sure that your clients respect the environment too then.
Absolutely. I have a lot of rules. I shouldn't say a lot of rules, but I do have rules in the salon and they have to be abided by. Otherwise, it will be your last visit. But people pretty much, I do feel like stylists kind of reflects the clients that come to the stylist kind of reflect the stylists. So my clients really appreciate the way that I am. And they appreciate the rules because they don't like nonsense the same way I don't like a lot of nonsense. So they appreciate that the salon is very orderly. They appreciate that there's not a lot of craziness going on. Aren't people coming in and out, selling dinners and all kinds of nonsense and selling CDs. We don't do that. They appreciate that, they can, if they need to, they can work on their laptops, do their, work and stuff because it's not a whole bunch of craziness. The salon is never jam-packed. It's always, I book my clients in a timely fashion so that they can get in and out in a timely fashion. They're never sitting and waiting around for me because I have too many people in there or I'm eating lunch or whatever the case may be, because I respect people's time. And like I said, I want my time respected and I respect people. So the clients definitely appreciate it. And I know that a lot of times they're surprised, the new clients are surprised when they come in and they get in and out so quickly. And they're like, am I really finished? Like, yeah, I'm done? And I'm like, yeah, get out. So it's like, they're so used to being in the salon like all day. And that's not the kind of operation that I'm running. It's not like that. So you can come get your hair done, you can go about your business, which is how it should be. Being in the salon, in a Black hair salon, shouldn't be an all day affair. That's how things used to be that's how things, I hope, used to be 20 years ago. I'm hoping people don't still operate that way, although I know some people do. But we live in different times now. Like, time is money. So nobody has time to be having people sitting around just waiting, and all that. But that's my thing.
What was it like working alongside barbers in a sense, where it was barbers on one side and stylists on the other? What was that like? You can tell the truth.
It was interesting. I mean, men always bring a different dynamic and a different kind of vibe. So, I mean, it was cool for them. It's something I wouldn't prefer to do now. Because it's just a different vibe when the guys are around. I prefer to have more of a feminine, quiet, peaceful vibe. Not that men aren't peaceful, but you guys like the rah, you guys like to talk about sports and all that, and I can appreciate that. I just don't want to be around that. And I know my clientele doesn't want to be around that kind of thing. So, but it was cool. It was good. I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was fun. But I also was like 21 years old.
So when you think about, if we're still thinking back when you kind of first started, you're gaining experience. All right, you're building your clientele. How long would you say that it was from the point that you got out of school to the point when you felt confident you could just do just about any style, like where you felt like, okay, I'm good, like I'm on my level has changed now? How long did it take from you got out of school to to feeling very confident in all this, no matter who got in your chair and what service they were getting done?
Ooh, that's a good question. That probably took a good, if I had to guess, maybe almost 10 years. It took a long time. I always felt like I've always been confident to a point, but there did come a time where even if I wasn't quite sure what I was gonna do, I knew it was gonna be fine in the end because I knew that I could make something look good. So I would say it took maybe almost, maybe not quite 10 years, but between 5 and 10 years. Like it definitely took time to get to that point.
What are some, so, in that time period, now how long were you in the first shop that you were in until you moved to a different one?
I went there when I was about 19. So I was there for about 5 years. I was there for about 5 or 6 years. And then I went to another salon and I was there for about a year. And then after that, I went to, so both of these salons were commission salons. After
Okay.
those two salons, the next salon that I worked at was a booth rental salon.
So what was that transition like, going from commission to booth rent?
It was great. It was great because I had more control. I had more control of my money and more control of, um, I had all the control really of all, the products that I used, how I scheduled my clients. It definitely was different, but it was definitely, to me, in my mindset, what you work towards as a stylist, or how I was kind of trained. The person, my mentor, she kind of taught me like, well, you want to go from commission to booth rental because then, that's how you make your money. And obviously today things are different. People do things a different way. So I'm not saying that's how you can't make money if you don't booth rent. Obviously you can. But back then, that's how I was basically taught and trained. So for me, that was the goal, was to start doing booth rental. And I did. And it was good. It was good for its time.
So when it comes to, the like you talked about, you're starting to transition, you went from commission to booth rent. How is it that you have been able to, or what have your strategies been in terms of managing your money? In terms of like the money you make in a shop, because for barbers and stylists, we used to more so be a cash based business,
Mhm.
where it's just like, you're not waiting for a check in a sense. You're not waiting to the end of the week to get paid to an extent.
Right.
So what have been some strategies to be able to help you to make sure that you manage your money so that you get your taxes paid and all those kinds of things? What have you done?
Right. First of all, that's a good question because I do feel like when you are in a cash business, it's easy to be like, oh, I have all this money, I have all this cash and just spend it. But we have to treat our business like a business. So it's important to pay yourself first. You shouldn't just be getting money and just randomly spending it and buying stuff. Definitely, you should calculate how much money you're going to pay yourself. That should be like your salary for the week, whether that be $300, $500, $1,000, whatever it is. That should be a set amount that you're only going to take as your salary. And then you should set aside money every week, a certain percentage for taxes, certain percentage for expenses and different things like that. But definitely you have to portion out, whether it be percentage or whatever, however you're going to do it, so that at the end you can make sure your taxes are paid. You can make sure that all your expenses are paid, because you're going to pay your taxes at some point. I've seen stylists go 5, 10 years without paying taxes. And to me, it's just like so crazy because I feel like people think they're getting away with something or it's not going to catch up with them, but it always catches up with you. So you might as well just have a schedule, have an accountant. If you can't do it yourself, pay quarterly, whatever. That way you don't have like a whole big bulk payment at the end of the year or whatever, however you're going to do it. But get some advice about your particular business, whether, again, like if you're a commission stylist, I guess it wouldn't make a difference because you do your taxes regular. But your booth rental, if you're a salon owner, you definitely should get some advice from an accountant or to make up a plan for you so that you don't end up in problems and end up having issues later on with money, because that's easy to do when you work in this kind of business, for sure.
So we move forward, and you were in a, you were in a couple of different shops, whatever the case is, and you're pretty well established. And as we come closer to our present time, you end up doing, I'm about to say doing some time, like you're about to go to prison, but you end up transitioning for a short period of time to Atlanta for a little bit. What was that like, coming to Atlanta?
Atlanta was interesting. It's different. Well, it was hard because I was in Boston and I had been doing hair for, at that point, I'm gonna tell you now. At that point, it had been at least, I don't know, maybe 12 years or so. I was probably about 30 when I came to Atlanta. Wow. Okay, right. So coming from building this clientele in Boston and then booth renting and, making money, and then going to Atlanta and starting fresh was very, very, very difficult. Especially because there's so many good stylists in Atlanta. And the salon that I worked in, it was a large salon, and everybody there was good. There were about maybe 7 other girls working there. It was a barbershop in salon in one. So it was about 5 barbers, and it was about 7 other girls besides me, women. And everybody was good. Everybody was good. So I do feel like Atlanta in general, they have a lot of good stylists.
Okay.
Not that Boston doesn't, but Atlanta has a lot of good stylists. And so I feel like it's harder to establish yourself there. I thought it was going to be easy because, I was just kind of used to, what I was used to in Boston.
Yeah,
so coming down there, I was thinking, and that was quickly dashed.
well, just to kind of give some perspective on that, the fact of the matter is that it is different, right? Like Atlanta is really the hair capital, some would say, in the world, because and now with movie sets here, and the Bronner Brothers hair show, which put hair shows on the map, and now there's so many other options for even hair shows, because that was one of the pioneers of that was on Atlanta. So to come from Boston, where you got good stylists, but it doesn't compare to like not only the amount of good stylists in Atlanta and amount of good barbers, but they're always so much more forward thinking,
right,
than people in Boston. So it was different.
It's way different. And it's 2 completely different types of cities and everything. So you can't even compare them really. But yeah, Atlanta, it was definitely was a transition. It was very, very hard trying to build a clientele because there were so many good stylists. So what are you going to do? You have to find something to do to kind of stick out from other people. And that's very hard to do when everybody's really good, So, I mean, it was fun though. But the one thing I will say is all the stylists that I've worked with were great. Like everybody was just so welcoming. Everybody was very, 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 very supportive, very supportive. I worked at Rick's Barber and Beauty on Campbellton Road, and he was awesome. He was very supportive. Everybody there was very supportive, and they really did try to help me, build a clientele. They tried to help me with work and different things like that. And it was cool. It was cool. I liked it.
So staying on the Atlanta tip, at one point in time, you and I worked together. What was it like working with your younger brother for 5 minutes? Do you remember that?
No, that was fun. It was good. We spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
A lot of time together. So it was good. That feels like that was a lifetime ago, honestly. It's so funny.
So that's probably 2004 or 5-ish, give or take.
Yeah. Because I moved there, it might have been before then, because I moved there in 01, the year of 9/11. So you came down maybe about 03.
2003.
Oh, you came in about 02, 03 is when you came. So yeah, it was cool. We didn't work together that long.
Yeah.
Long enough. But yeah, it actually was fun. It was fun being broke together in Atlanta.
Yeah. So we go back. So you're back in Boston, you're back home, and you're like, you know what? And what was impressive, and I don't know if we'd ever talk about this, but when you decided to go back to Boston, it literally was like you had never skipped a beat. It was like your clients took like a vacation, and then you came back and they were like, all right, we're back home now. She's back home. I mean, am I lying?
No, that's
All right.
well, pretty much. When I came back, it was a wrap. Everybody just came back.
So
Good. It was good. And it felt good to have people be like, to come back to you and leave whoever they have been going with. And a lot of the people there have been going with people that I referred them to. Because I would never leave my clients and just leave them in the lurch. But there are people I referred them to. And once I came back, they were like, oh yeah, I'm all set with them. I'm coming back to you. So that did feel good for sure.
So we fast forward. You're in a couple of shops, and for a long time, people had been telling you should just get your own. What was your apprehension in getting your own shop all those years?
Just felt like a lot of work, honestly. I mean, honestly, it was never my goal to have my own salon. I just really wanted just to work, make my money, and just go home. I never felt like I needed to have my name on the building and I needed to. I'm just not that person. I'm like very simple. And yeah, I just don't need all that attention, I guess is what I should say. Not that you need to have a lot of attention to want to have your own salon, but I don't like attention like that. So I just feel like, once you do that, it's like, oh, you blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, all right, it's not that serious. But yeah, so I never wanted the salon, but I knew after being in the business for years and years and years, I knew at some point I couldn't keep jumping from salon to salon. Not that I've been in a whole bunch of salons, because I haven't been, probably compared to other stylists. I haven't been, I can probably count on one hand how many salons I've been in Boston. It probably has been about 5 salons. But I knew at some point to have the environment that I needed and have things run the way I wanted to be running, that I would have to get my own salon. So I was at a place and I was like, okay, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to have to start looking for my own place, because I don't want to just keep jumping around, because I'm not going to find what I'm looking for. So I'm going to have to just kind of create that environment for myself. That's basically how it happened and why it happened, even though it was never my dream. I feel like it was everybody else's dream, like my sister's dream, like maybe your dream, like everybody else was dreaming for me. Like my friends were like, oh, you should, blah, blah, blah. You should get a salon. And I'm like, okay. But at some point I did it because I just kind of had to do it for myself. But it wasn't it wasn't like a goal that I had necessarily from when I was young.
So RL Hair Lounge, Rachel Leslie Hair Lounge is created and established. What year was that?
Oh man, 2016. It's gonna be my 5-year anniversary is coming up in February.
So what's it been like? Has it been what you expected, more or less? What do you think?
Oh man, it has been interesting. I don't know what I was expecting, honestly. It has not, well, in some ways it hasn't been what I expected in a way, because, trying to find stylists to work, it's just a different industry now from when I was coming up. So trying to find up and coming stylists who actually want to grind and work is difficult, in my opinion, from what I've seen. And we came up in a generation where you grinded, you sat in the salon and you waited for clients to come in. And it just was different. And the way people's mindsets are now, they want everything now, and it's like, they don't want to sit around and wait. They want everything right now. And if they don't get what they want right now, then they're just going to move on to the next thing. And that's just kind of been my experience with trying to with the staff. And because I understand I'm very particular and about the way I want things done, because I do want people that are professional. So I'm not just going to just have just anybody working in the salon. So that part has probably been more difficult than I thought it would be. But other than that, I mean, things have been great. The clients love it. I do love having my own space and doing things the way that I like it done. I can't complain about that at all. I do complain, but I shouldn't because I got a pretty good thing going on. So yeah.
So do you think in the future, as you start to build out your salon, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, if I was to ask, what are you looking for in a stylist? You kind of already answered that, but do you think that you'll find what you're looking for from those that are already in the industry or somebody that's perhaps coming out of school?
That's so hard because I feel like people who are in the industry already have their ways set how they are. Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, I probably would think that somebody who's already in the industry would be better because I feel like this generation coming out of school, it's just this generation in general. The generation in general, not even the ones that are coming out of hair school, just in general. It's just a different mindset. Like I said, they want everything to be now when they want it. They're not used to grinding like we have been taught and how we used to do. Things are just different now, at least from what I've seen. And I've had both come through the salon. And I just feel like trying not to say anything negative. It's just different. It's just different. It's a different mindset in general from what I think I'm looking for. And I think sometimes I've talked to some young people and they've come through the salon about working and they think in their mind that they have got it together, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. So, which is fine. I mean, I always feel like everything's not going to fit, like everybody aren't going to fit together. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not going to have people, and that stands for clients too, just to have them in there. Like, I don't want to be aggravated. I don't want to be annoyed. Like, this is my space that I have to be in all day long. And I don't want to be aggravated and annoyed all day long from nonsense from a fellow stylist or from a customer, a client, to be completely honest. Yeah. So, I just like things to be done a certain kind of way and like things to be orderly, and I like peace, and I don't want anything or anybody disturbing that,
So how has COVID-19 affected your business?
Oh man, it's affected it because you can't do as much with the guidelines. You can't do as many clients. You can't keep as many people, in the salon as far as like the social distancing is concerned, and just being concerned with having people together in general. So I keep it very limited, and I've always been it probably hasn't been as hard for me personally because I don't have people piled up in the salon anyway. Only take people, like I said, like everything's timed out. You come in, I'm ready to take you. Somebody's probably walking out the door, or somebody's on, somebody might be under the dryer. So I don't have people sitting around just waiting for me. Never. So it's not like people are, that part hasn't changed much as far as that's concerned. And so just have to take less people than before. Some people are scared to come out, basically the house. So some people still haven't really come to get their hair done because basically they're scared. I do have some clients that come, they only come out the house just to get their hair done and to go to the grocery store. They don't do anything else. So that part has been an adjustment. But as far as, I always kept the place clean. So that was never really an issue. I'd have to go through and do some like deep cleaning, like some people had to do, because my place is spotless anyway. And it's always been that way. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing is just having been closed for a couple of months and then just adjusting, just to make sure that the clients feel safe coming in the environment, and that I also feel safe too, which means making sure everything is spotless as it always has been, and then just not having, having people distance and all that. So it's been fun.
So when it comes to Rachel Leslie Hair Lounge, for those that are and I know that at this point in your career, you really almost handpick your clients. I mean, literally, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like you handpick your clients in terms of like, somebody that will be able to kind of still keep that vibe in place,
Right.
in terms of like, because like you said, it's almost like the saying that all money isn't good money, or those kinds of things. It's like just because they can pay you and you can do their hair or cut their hair doesn't mean you want them for a client anyway.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that it's hard feelings. It's like, just go to somebody else. It's cool,
Yeah.
So
I'll be surprised when I say that. They're like, wait a minute, what do you, because
they're like, you're breaking up with me.
let me tell you something. I've had to break up with clients before, and like you just said, it's all good, but I can't do your hair anymore. And they're always like very, very like, I don't understand. What do you mean?
Did you give them the "it's not me, it's you"? I mean, it's not you, it's me routine.
Oh, absolutely. It's always me. It's always me. It's always me.
So what is it then that, all right, so tell me specifically then tell us what specifically sets you've already kind of touched on it, but sets your salon apart from others, that says, I want to choose to go there as a client, or I want to choose to go there if I'm a stylist. So tell us like specifically what that is and what makes your salon unique.
I think what makes my salon unique basically is the professionalism. I don't want to say that doing hair is easy. It's not necessarily easy to do, but I think anybody can learn how to do hair. I've seen people that do hair, they learn how to do it. They make a living out of it. They make a good living out of it. Do I necessarily think that they're great stylists? No, but they can make some money because they've learned the techniques and they can do it, and they might just have the personality that draws people to them. So I don't think the hair, not that I can't do hair, obviously I can do hair, I'm good. But I think a big part of it is the professionalism, which for me is a huge part of just having a business just in general. And what sets my salon apart from other salons is, like I said, being professional, being on time, not having the clients waiting on you, respecting people's time, and just having like a good environment where people can feel like they're at home and feel like this is a place I want to come to, and not have to dread like, oh, I have a hair appointment, I'm going to be there, and what am I have to deal with today about that kind of thing. Like, just come get your hair done, we have a good conversation, and go about your business. It's just it's just about coming and getting your service in a professional environment, and not to deal with no foolishness, and it's going to be like that consistently. And now with COVID, we can't we used to have like rum punch and have like snacks and stuff. We can't do those kind of fun things anymore, but it's still a good place to come in and get your hair done, have your hair look good, and just have a good. I've had clients even say, when I come here, this is just like my relaxation time. Like, I come and I can just chill out. This is my peace for the day or for the week or for the month, whenever they come, because they get away from whatever they've been dealing with, and they can come and just relax and not have to think about anything and get pampered, basically. So I think that's what sets my salon apart from other salons. And if you come in, you can see it's different from other places. Just one visit and you'll know.
So any plans for the 5-year anniversary?
It's hard with COVID to plan anything, honestly. I was early in the year, planning like a big party, which now I'm glad I didn't get too far into those plans, because with COVID, it's like you can't really plan anything like that. So I do plan on making some cosmetic changes in the salon, basically, for now. And maybe later in the year, if things kind of with the vaccine coming out, maybe if things kind of simmer down a little bit, we can maybe do something in the summer. I hate to do something just kind of half, whatever, just to do it. So might have to postpone a celebration maybe for later in the year.
So last question. So what are your thoughts on,
Oh boy.
nah, I'm like, about that COVID vaccine. Nah. So do you have any advice for those that are starting in the industry, just in general?
I think it's important to know that it takes hard work to be a stylist or a barber. It's not easy. Nothing, you can't get anything good from, something that it's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's a grind if you're doing it right, so I think people expect things to happen so quickly, and you have to know it takes years to get where other people are. So I think when people sometimes see you as a seasoned stylist, they think that just because I look this young doesn't mean that I am this young. I've actually been in the business 30 years. So it takes a long time. I know I look like I'm 25. I'm kidding. No, but it takes a long time to get, to get where I am and to get where other stylists are, and I'm not even nowhere near where a lot of other people are, but it takes a long time to get a good clientele and to, to really build, but you have to put in that work. And I feel like sometimes people, they say they want to put in the work, but saying and doing those things are two different things. So I think it's important to have the mindset that I have to grind. I need to put in this work. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. That's what's most important. And obviously you need education. You want to keep up on your skills. Those things are important, but having a good attitude, being professional, looking professional, look like you're going to work, have your hair done. If you're going to be over people, you need to look nice. Nobody wants people over them shampooing their hair and they looking like they just rolled out of bed. I know I don't, and I know I wouldn't. So just come to work, even if you're in school, go to school looking professional. You want to look good. And those are things you want to keep up with through the years. You don't want to even start slacking off because, I have all these clients and I can come to work with a sweatsuit on and sneakers. Okay. I mean, you can, but, like I said, you want to be professional, and that covers a lot of different aspects: attitude, your behavior, the time, your look, which you need to look nice all the time. Again, you're going to be touching people, and you want to look presentable and clean. And I've just heard some clients say some things about other stylists, so that's why I'm like, you don't want to be talked about like I've heard other stylists be talked about from some clients. So yes, those things are important, and trust me, people will talk about you. So
okay. So what do you think about were you surprised when, that was gonna be my last question, but this just popped up in my head. This is like after hours question. So you told me to go to barber school. Well, why? So do you remember why you told me to go, aside from the fact that my grades were terrible? Do you remember that conversation?
I don't know. What else can he do? Is he the barber school, or he's gonna be a gas man? I don't know.
That's pretty good, gas man. It's funny because they don't even have that down here. So I'm like, it's gonna be a red shirt. That's not Boston.
Man, I mean, I don't know why. I just felt like maybe that it was something that you could. It was just something, I just kind of threw out there. I mean, I didn't know that you would be where you are now in the business. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really have the foresight to be like, yeah, I think Dan's gonna be a beast at being the barber. You know what I'm saying? But that's what ended up happening. So, It was good. Apparently, I don't want to say it was destined to be, but it just worked out, which was great, which was really, really good. I'm proud of you.
Thanks. So I like being talked about, So when we have our next book release, my question is, can we do a book release at the shop?
At my salon?
Yeah.
For a small fee, yes. No.
Of course, I would expect nothing less. Either I can do it there or at Raphael's Caribbean Cuisine.
Raphael's Restaurant.
Oh, sorry, did I get that wrong? Sorry about that. So
we can do two, one at both at each locations, the salon and the restaurant.
Okay, well, if you can send me the invoice, we'll see what we can do.
We will see what we can do.
All right, Rach. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're excited to have this interview drop. For those that are watching, for all the world that's watching, make sure you check her out. RL Hair Lounge. Shouts out Boston. Shouts out all the family back home. We appreciate everybody. Thanks again, Rach. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank you for joining us today on the Barber Biz Podcast. Of course, brought to you by soc.consulting. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below as well. We've also got one up top. Make sure you don't miss it. So if you like the content that you've been looking at, make sure that you continue to follow us. We've got more on the way. If you'd like to support our page, make sure you hit that Patreon link below to make sure that you keep getting exclusive content before anybody else does. Once again, thanks a lot for checking us out at the Barber Biz Podcast and Sure Home Consulting.